All right, welcome to the Nuvee Club Secret Sauce podcast. I'm here with my good friend Alejandro Bonilla,
Hello, folks.
multidisciplinary artist, painter, and actor based in the Bronx. How are you doing, Alejandro?
We are in the holidays. We are on the last stretch of 2025. And we're just feeling good to make it past the finish line, honestly.
We're trying to make it past the finish line. We're trying to finish up 2025 strong.
Yes,
And
sir.
what better way than to have a nice secret sauce chat with one of my strongest collaborators, Alejandro. So before we get into anything too heavy, why don't you tell us, like, when you're not painting or acting, what is your favorite way to spend your real time in life?
Favorite way to spend my real time in life is literally finding a hole in a wall in New York City that has good drinks and good food at a really good price. That's what I'm doing if I'm not painting
What
or acting.
what are some recommendations you can give for the people that live in New York?
Charlie's Grilling Kitchen in the Bronx. They have the best fish tacos, okay? Verlaine and Lower East Side for the best lychee martinis. Okay, Nine Cafe off of Times Square for amazing Thai food. You're very welcome.
Oh yeah, those are great. And I remember when we went to the Bronx, we had like a little Bronx hangout day. We tried out some of
Yeah,
those places. Oh my
yeah,
gosh,
yeah, yeah.
fish tacos, drinks. They know how to make a good Moscow Mule up there.
Yes, they do. They do. They do.
So you are from the Bronx, still based in New York.
hmm
What is one thing that you love doing in your neighborhood that just makes you feel like yourself?
One thing I love doing in my neighborhood that makes me feel like myself. Always love running from a random group of people that try to jump me. I just feel like I'm at home when that's happening. No,
Never stops, right? Never stops.
no. Honestly, one of my favorite things to do in the Bronx is basically go. I love finding places to eat at within the Bronx. I love, what's very unpopular? I love like doing like a little bar hop, a like restaurant hop in the Bronx. There's certain, like East Tremont or even by because there's a lot opening up all the time. You got some near the Bruckner. I just love to walk. It's one of those things that I just love to do. I love experiencing because like the Bronx is so welcoming. It's not very as pish posh, So it's always felt like home to me. Where it's like I just love to do the simple things here.
I love the
If that
Bronx.
makes
It's a very walkable neighborhood,
yes,
borough, and they're
for the most part.
there are great walkable neighborhoods in the Bronx as well when you're not off the Bruckner Expressway or
Yeah, yeah,
95.
yeah. You know?
All right. So if someone meets you at a show or on set and asks what you do, how would you like to introduce yourself?
You know what's funny? If someone ever asks me what I do, usually when I get that, I just like to call myself a creative.
Nice.
I'm a creative. It's funny because I've been online and so many people's like, don't call me a creative. I'm like, I mean, that's what I call myself.
You're
Um,
multidisciplinary. You do a lot of creative
yeah.
things.
And it all involves creating something. So, I always tell people rather I am creating a scene like rather I'm doing a scene in front of a camera or a scene on the stage or painting something or drawing something. It all involves creating something. It all involves bringing art to the physical. So that's why I just tell people I'm a creative. It's something that I truly feel like I'm born to do, and probably one of the only things I'm good at in this lifetime.
I agree. I agree. So, I mean, you are good at reposting political videos, but we can get into that later. So, your dad was a painter, paintings in the family, and you grew up with a strong Black and Afro Latino family. So,
Yes.
what are your first memories of watching him make work? When did you realize that you wanted to follow that path in your own way?
One of the first memories I have of my dad creating work was actually when it's one of my first memories, actually. My dad used to have this giant draft table when I was very young. There would just be comic book drawings, paper all over the place. He would just be so in the zone creating something. And I was just there. I remember sitting on his draft table because I only weighed 5 pounds back then. Just sitting on his draft table and I'm just focusing on, because he was working on a comic book when I was born at the time. So he was really heavily focused on that. And I just have memories of him being in the zone, working his butt off all night, just drawing.
That's cool. That kind of inspired you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. When I went to high school, in New York, you have a choice to pick which high school you want to go to. And I was like, I was already like in love with my art classes. Every art class I've ever had, I was already in love with. And I was like, yo, Dad, what high school you went to? He said, oh, I went to art and design high school. I'm like, okay, that's the high school I'm gonna go to. Well, that's the high school I'm gonna go to. Because you always talk about your art high school. And I got accepted into that. So
So you
it's
went through
just,
art design, the Art Students League, SVA,
yeah,
S5IT.
yeah.
At what point did you stop feeling like, all right, I'm talented at art, and start feeling like, all right, this is my lane. I got this.
You know what's funny? That really happened towards the end my college year. You go and you're like, something tells me I'm good at art. I know this is what like I like to do. Sure, I've had people tell me that, you're good, but there's just a zone that you get into when you're in creative school. My whole journey as an art student was just about really finding what my niche was, what my message was, what my journey is, what type of art. That was my whole mission as an art student, and it took me so long to find that. And
That's
I really
interesting.
yeah,
That's interesting, and that's as a painter too. You're both a
yeah,
painter and an actor. So I'm
yeah.
curious, how do those practices kind of speak to each other in terms of how you see people, colors, scene, characters?
Because it's about what I love about I went to school for illustration specifically, and illustration is basically about putting ideas together, selling something, selling an emotion, selling a story. That's really the crux of illustration. And so I went to school for that, and it sort of blended in with me because as an actor, that's what it is. It's about selling something. It's about selling an emotion. It's about, having something to say within the tools that you are given. So at least that's how I always thought about that. Illustration is all about connecting with audience through art. Putting certain posters together. How does these elements look together? Whereas fine arts is more about technique and actually painting a person and knowing how to paint a person. Illustration is about knowing how to sell a message with those skills that you put together. So as acting, it's about, putting those emotions together and selling a story. It probably doesn't make sense to you, but it's made sense to me for the most it's no, but that's sort of how it's always worked. It's always made me just be on that mindset of just connecting with people.
So when people see your paintings for the first time, what are you hoping that they notice first?
Well, for one, I hope they notice the authenticness of the figures that I paint. And for one thing, I want them to notice is the mystical beauty of blackness. Like I want people to look at that and say, we need more of this. This needs to be everywhere because there's not enough of it, even despite how much progress that's been made. And I want people to even see that with my acting. I want people to see a different side of blackness, if that makes any sense. Even with my acting, with my art, I want people to see a beauty, a complexity within blackness that they missing for themselves before.
I love that. And so you just completed your first indie film. What was the project? What was the crossing the finish line teach you about yourself as a
Man,
creator and a collaborator?
yeah, it's my first indie film, and it's really made me realize that I truly appreciate the art of filmmaking from a complete, like, 360. I feel like in regards to acting and I just feel like in regards to making a film, in regards to creating movies, acting is just 180 of it. And creating my own film, being with a team, seeing how everything, you sort of get the whole 360. And I also fell in love with that too. So I was very excited to know that I do also love what goes on behind the background of it all as well. I think that's the most important thing that gathered from working on my own independent film with my team
Interesting.
that I had.
So,
Yeah.
we've worked together on several short films and
Yeah.
content pieces for Nukhu. So, from your perspective as a performer, what felt different about those sets or those processes compared to some of this other work you've done?
What felt it the the how relaxing and how beat it was. I'm not used to being with our collabs. Almost every collab I've done, I had to really jump into like my comedical improv bag, and I'm not really used to that. People say, "Oh, you funny." I'm like, I don't know. So it was so fun. I'm always nervous when I have to jump into that bag. I would rather do like a serious, like the Chicago role than like be this silly, funny character that's also selling something that's really important to film creators. But I loved how easygoing that it was. And where I wasn't, usually you could feel it. On the fifth hour, 6 hour of filming, 7 hour of filming, you could usually feel it like, oof, oh Lord, I need these
Energy.
breaks to be.
Energy is
Yeah,
draining
yeah.
out of you.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah, hey, that was the project we working on. We were on hour six. I'm like, I can keep going.
Yeah, there was definitely a re-energizing of each other, all of each other's
Yeah,
spirits
yeah,
for
yeah.
sure. So, you recently received a grant from the city to keep developing your painting.
Yes.
How does that support change your day-to-day practice, even in small ways?
It's a pusher. It's one of if not the first my first grant that I ever won in my artistic career, and I'm still like it's still marinating with me. I think what's important is, we all come to a crossroads in our art and our careers where it's like, oh my God, what am I doing this for? Like, what is happening? And there's always things that happens that pushes you, that's the universe reminding you to keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing, because what you're doing is right and what you're doing is important. And I think that was my main takeaway from winning that grant, is just like a buffer. I was able, with that grant, it helped me get featured in professional like publications, like through the Village Voice, which was really huge for me this year. And it was just another thing, just, you know, the universe telling me, like, this is like, you're doing what you're supposed to do. So that is just something that I took away from that grant.
That's great. It's excellent validation, especially when you're holding down a day job
Yeah.
and to have that kind of validation, keeps you reinvigorated, keeps you from burning out,
Hmm.
keeps you inspired to continue showing up for what it is that you like doing. I'm
Yeah.
curious, what is a challenge that you're facing that doesn't show up on Instagram? Something behind the scenes that people would not guess from the outside.
I think a huge challenge that I've been facing is basically finding time. We're in a crossroads right now where it's like we have to work, we have to make money, we have to make sure that we are surviving. And it's finding this balance. The biggest struggle right now is trying to figure out how to continue to be a striving artist and not a starving one while being able to work on your art. So that's just that balance that, I'm trying to find ways where I could work around it. Any point, just constantly scheduling things and trying not to lose myself. This was the first year I actually started writing in a planner.
Nice.
It's like, I gotta
You
write
gotta
this thing.
you gotta be
Yeah.
organized. You gotta keep
Yeah.
track of all
Yeah,
everything,
yeah,
all of
yeah.
your commitments.
I need to write these things down. I actually need to have a calendar up in front, you know, in my room. But that's the biggest challenge. Just finding the time and to do acting and art. I have a painting I'm working on, and I've been working on it all year. One of the most technical pieces I've ever worked on. And it's just like, dang. But you also gotta learn not to beat yourself up. You can't compare yourself to other people's your journey. You got your own pace. And as long as you're still creating, that is all that matters by the end of the day. At least that's
You
what I say
know,
to myself to help
those
me
those are
sleep at
good
night.
those are good tidbits of advice, and especially effective time management helps kind of
Yeah.
serve all of those things as well.
Yeah. I'm at work right now.
So your work reflects your culture, heritage, and upbringing. How intentional are you about that when you sit down to make something? Or does it kind of just come out more subconsciously?
It definitely comes out more subconsciously, only because it's so much of my focus. It's so much of my niche as an artist. like my mission. My mission is to bring the changed perspective on how Blackness is seen, and to, you know, paint the full fabric and tapestry of Black people and people of color. And, it comes natural to me because that's who I am. I grew up, I went to art school for half of my life, and my biggest gripe was never feeling personally inspired from seeing people like me, seeing, beautiful Black artists, Black art, and you got, Kadir Nelson who's doing it, you got Kehinde Wiley that's doing it, but I was studying art even before these guys were, like, as huge. There's still room, there's still so much more to explore within the beauty of Blackness, so,
Of
it's just
course,
something that
there's
comes natural to me. It's
so
just
untapped,
going
so untapped, and I know that underlying drive will come out in beautiful ways through your work.
that's all we can aim for.
So, what is the dream email or phone call you would like to get after someone watches this interview, in terms of the kind of project, director, gallery, or collaborator?
Dream email would be like, "Hey, man, I'm an agent. Let's work." I'm like, yes. Rather you be an art agent, acting agent, like, hey, I'm looking for talent. I got room on my roster for you. Let's go to the upper echelons. And that's the dream call for me. Okay.
So, for someone in the Bronx or anyone who feels like they're living two lives, day job, what's one
Yes.
choice you made that you would absolutely repeat?
One choice that I made that I would absolutely repeat. That is a good one. I think one of the choices I would repeat would be leaving home for college.
It's a
I
good
was
one.
able to travel, was able to, I think anyone who is growing up in the hood, who's growing up in urban areas, I would always, always, always encourage you, challenge you to stick to, your educational journey. And if there's any opportunity that comes where you can get out and explore a different part of the world, explore something beyond your hood, your neighborhood, jump on it. Pause. No, jump, grab that opportunity because it is so important to get to know things outside of your scope and
Yeah,
to
that's great
make
advice.
real connections.
That's great advice. Yeah, you have to be curious and make yourself exposed to
Yes.
different things.
My mom
So,
still makes me regret it, or tries to.
what is one thing or mindset you tried in the past that you would not repeat now that you have more experience?
One mindset that I would not repeat is trying to change myself to try to better reflect who I am. I grew up in the Bronx, was always the art kid. I was the art weird kid. That was me. I was the kid that was always painting. I was the kid that was always wearing, I cared about what I wore and all this stuff. And constantly it was just, your blackness is questioned, your masculinity is your masculinity is questioned. Everything about you is questioned when you don't fit the mold of what people think a black boy, black kid is, black man is. And there have been several points in my life where I tried to change myself to be like everyone else who was around me. And that is something that I would never, ever repeat again. I think, there's several layers to Black boys, Black men, and we should all be able to live comfortably no matter what layer that you are on.
I love that. It's a beautiful sense of identity and
Yes.
great advice for anyone struggling with identity.
Yes.
So, we're getting to that part of our secret sauce episode where we talk about a short film on Nugu that you want to shout out as you're recommending Nuvee, something that you think people should watch.
Yes.
But what did you see that you think connects with your own values?
You know what? I will say Reconciliation is a really good one. And Phillips, really like that piece, especially, 'cause that really touched on like Black fatherhood and Black boyhood. And there was some things that really radiated to me. Recommendation, I would say he loved how cultural that movie was, just to show the journey of these these the kids and the women in Ethiopia, and it opened my eyes to a lot. So I'm saying the
Your
name right.
your mic cut out. You wanna say that name for us again?
Maki is how you say it?
Yeah, yeah.
Maki? Yeah. Um, beautiful, beautiful film. Beautiful film. I also really liked Super High, a period piece. Love the animation in that one. There were
They're
things I
great.
learned.
There's great black cinema on Nukhu, isn't there?
Oh yes. Oh my god. Oh my god. I just noticed that was not on purpose. That was not on purpose. That was not on purpose. That was just things that
Those are great recommendations, Alejandro. Okay.
but yeah.
Those are great recommendations. All right. So, where is the best place for people to follow your work, see your new paintings, reach out about casting or commissions?
You can follow me on Instagram, a bonfire. Okay, that's ABON. Here. You can also go to my website, artbyabon.com. You can also find me on IMDb Pro. You just search on my name, Alejandro Bonilla, and I will be there. The link to my film reel is there as
Excellent. And what can we
yes.
expect from you next? What's the next thing that's happening, or you will hope to happen in the next 90 days if we check back in?
My film that I just finished is currently in editing, so we should be having a little release private screening of that coming up soon. We are planning, I work with the art collective, my own art collective, OBO Collective, and we are just three artists from the Bronx, from New York City, just trying to give our artistic contribution to the world, and we are trying to have some upcoming art shows pretty soon. So that is in the works as well. And more paintings, more films.
Excellent. So if
Yeah.
you want to get invited to a super fun screening, art show, or be
You know,
potentially a
you know,
muse or subject in a
you know.
painting,
Yes, I
become
do need black
Alejandro's
models. Yeah. So if you
Alejandro's friend, and before it's too late, before he's too famous for you.
you gotta catch it now. You know.
All right, Alejandro, thank you so much for joining us for the Secret Sauce episode, and you have a great new year.
Thank you, Sanjay. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, have a good one. Happy New Year's, and may 2026 be nothing but blessings.
Thank you.